I took some performers, we went to the Rahagiri. Before we going, 1 or 2, 3 meetings we had with the Rahagiri, and I told them especially, please, if you are putting us in the schedule and venue on the board, you should write Madari. You should use word Madari, Madari, Madari. They put the world-renowned street performers. We went there and we were performing and the Rahagiri early in the morning. So policeman came and he jumped in the performance and he ruined all the performance. He said, you are not allowed to perform here, you can't perform here at all. This place is not for Madari. And so I said that, how you can say that we are not just coming just like this. We have been registered with the Rahagiri and they invited us as a guest to perform. We are performing free even. And you can see the schedule, and he saw the schedule, and schedule was saying that's world renowned, and he got confused and that you are not a world renowned, like English word the street performer. He said, you just Madari, you go. This place is not for you.
Actually, the reason I call it an unconstitutional law is because these are prejudices which have got statutorily endorsed. These are just prejudices. How you view poverty is just about your prejudice. And we often say that there is a distinction between any decision that is made on principle, anything that is made on pragmatism, anything that is made on prejudice. And there is a difference between these two. We find that this law has prejudice in it through and through. It also has a very clear class differential, where one class has to be protected from the potential dangerousness of another class and from what they view as actual nuisance of that other class. So what it has permitted by having a law of this nature, what it has permitted is it has created power structures, actually structures of authority, which allows persons who are imbued with that authority. It might be policemen, it might be the social welfare department, it might even be a third person. And very often you'll find that courts, for instance, have encouraged them to act under the law, saying, why are there beggars still out on the street? Why have you not picked them up? So two kinds of ways in which people get picked up are raids and roundups. So in criminal law, you have to find an individual as committing an offense before you can pick them up. The anti-beggary legislations which we have, which ought to have been social welfare legislations, have had a very deep criminal law element put into them because it allows the police to round them up, it allows the police to pick them up, take them before a magistrate, so it judicializes the whole process, and then to put them into an institution which is a custodial institution. The rules of that custodial institution follow very closely the rules of many other custodial institutions like prisons. And there is a period during which you are sentenced to stay within that institution.
According to our tribal law, we cannot swap the performing arts. Like I cannot perform juggling and juggler cannot become a puppeteer and puppeteer cannot perform magic. This is the law, that is why still we are at this in India. And authenticity is still there. If we could swap, like if I appreciate my son to, okay, there are lots of shows of the juggling, then learn juggling. And juggler, then we could like disappear, dissolve in the society. So this is the beautiful thing, and we have in India since ancient time. You can read about us in literature, history, our textbook. You can see us in the tableau of 26 January and full of tourism posters, full of kalbelias and street performers. But you cannot find us in the Constitution of India and what is our right in India. We are not on papers.
So what we find is that laws of this kind, in fact criminal law itself, but certainly the anti-beggary legislation, is a law that has been made to control populations. It has nothing to do with the constitutionalizing of their lives. Through unconstitutionalizing of their lives or deconstitutionalizing of their lives, they are made into the subjects of the law and the law can be visited on them at any time. So this is the reason that, this is one of the reasons. So when we ask for a change in the structure, we say a few things. First of all, that the act of, the act of asking for alms in whatever manner is cannot be a crime. There's nothing wrong with saying, I mean, many of us go and say, hey, I'm hungry, can I have some food? It's never been treated as a crime anywhere else. Why is it treated as a crime if a hungry person asks for food and asks it of a stranger? Why would they ask it of a stranger if they could get it somewhere else? So that the idea of criminalizing poverty simply has to go. The idea of custodializing, that is institutionalizing people because of their poverty, makes it unconstitutional again. How can you put a person in prison because they were hungry and poor? It makes no sense. The idea of introducing police into this, it's a, at best you can have a social welfare department which will be saying that, we'll come in and we'll help you to the extent that we can. Instead, you convert even the social welfare department into a policing, give it a policing function. So that becomes a problem. And then you have, so the judiciary, the police, custody, and criminalizing poverty. You can't plainly all these make poverty into a condition, into a status, which can allow the people who are treating it to treat it in an unconstitutional manner. And you have a law that legalizes that unconstitutional structure.